Welcome to online classes. I am Shilpa. We are learning OOPS through C++ subject. In previous lecture, we discussed what is meant by operator overloading, and we discussed what are the different types of operators which can be overloaded, and what are the different types of operators which cannot be overloaded, and what is meant by unary operator overloading. And we have seen one example program on this unary operator overloading. And today's lecture we are going to discuss what is meant by binary operator overloading, and we will see some example programs on overloading binary operators. So in previous lecture when we are discussing this unary operator overloading, normally operator overloading means providing another meaning for already existing operator. Providing another meaning or another semantic for already existing operator is known as operator overloading, and that can be of two types based on the type of the operator. That is here normally we discuss we use unary operators and binary operators. So here unary operators means the operator which can perform on a single operand, and whereas the binary operator means the operator which can perform operation on two operands. And also we discussed when we are using this when we are overloading an operator, always uh, one operand must be the object of that class. That is when we are defining operator function in the class. So there we need to specify, or we need to use the operator function object, so that here that operator function act on that object. So always this operator function accepts or acts on the object, that means the values of the objects. That's why always when we are overloading an operator, one operand must be the object. And in previous lecture as we discussed this unary operator overloading, there unary means here that operator acts or perform operation on a single operand. So normally here that single operand will be object of the class to which this operator function belongs. Okay. So in today's lecture we are discussing binary operator overloading. That is here the operator perform operations on binary means two operands. Okay. Here, binary operators are those that work on two operands. Work on two operands. And overloading a binary operator is similar to overloading a unary operator, except that a binary operator requires an additional parameter. So, this overloading binary operator is same as the overloading unary operator, but only the difference is here it requires an additional parameter because it requires binary two operands. That's why it requires an additional parameter or argument. And examples of arithmetic operators include plus, minus, multiplication, division, modulus. And arithmetic assignment operators include shorthand assignment operators, plus equals to, minus equals to, and so on. Comparison operators include relational operators include less than, greater than, less than and equals to, greater than equals to, so on. So we can perform or we can overload any of these operators using binary operator overloading. We can overload any of these operators. Okay. And when we come to the syntax of operator function, the syntax of this operator function is also same as the unary operator overloading function. That means the syntax of binary operator overloading is return type of the operator function and followed by name of the class to which this operator function belongs, and then scope resolution operator, and then name of the operator function followed by the arguments. So here the name of the operator function means always it consists of operator keyword followed by the operator which we are going to overload. Okay, so the syntax is return type, class name, scope resolution operator, operator keyword, and operator, that is OP, followed by the arguments, that is if we are defining the operator function out of the class. Otherwise simply the syntax is return type, operator keyword, OP, that is that will be replaced with any of the operator of C++ followed by the arguments. Now, so using the same syntax here, we are going to overload plus, binary operator plus, that is here in previous example we overloaded unary minus, so that is on only single operand. Here binary operator plus overloading. So here we are trying to overload binary operator plus, that is here the plus adds on or perform operations on two operands. So for that here we are declaring one class. The name of the class is add because this represents adding of two numbers. That's why here the name of the class is add, and one variable, that is value of type integer, and then in public we are declaring one constructor add, that is in order to initialize values for this variable value, and then we are simply specifying the that is writing the operator function. So here this is the return type, that means here this operator function is returning an object as its return type. That's why here add we are specifying this is a user defined data type. User defined data type like predefined data types int, char, float, like that. Okay, this is a user defined data type. So always the function can return either predefined data types or user defined data types. Here this operator function is returning user defined data type, that is add, and as usual the keyword operator followed by the sign of the operator which we are overloading. Here we are trying to overload plus, so plus symbol. And so as we are performing operation on two operands, here we need to pass the object of the class as argument to this operator function. So that's why here add b, we are passing the object of the class add as parameter to this operator function, and then void display, and then void display. So here we are defining all these functions, that is member functions and the constructor out of the class. So first one is we are defining the constructor add out of the class. So add scope resolution operator, and the constructor name, and simply one statement, that is we are initializing 0 to this variable value, and after that here we are defining that operator function, that is operator plus. So return type of this operator function is user defined data type, that is add. So that's why this is the return type and this is the name of the class, to which this particular function belongs, and scope resolution operator as usual, and then operator keyword and plus symbol, and here we need to pass the object as argument. So here what it has to do, that is here this operator function that is it defines the actual operations to be takes place, or it provides another meaning for the operator plus. Normally plus is used to add two integers or two floats, but here it is trying to add two objects. That means in turn it is trying to add the values of two objects. values of two objects. So here we are defining that only. Simply value equals to value plus b dot value. So in this case, this value represents the value of the object through which this particular operator plus is called. Okay. That is, implicitly it will get the first object value or data member. Okay, and in order to get the value of another way, and that is the value of the variable of another object, here we need to use the object, that is b. B dot value is nothing but the value of the second object. Here the value is nothing but the value of the first object. Internally it will take, that is the compiler will takes place. Of course, this is used by this operator. Using this operator, the compiler will that is takes the values of operator here implicitly, though we are not at all specified any object for this variable value. Implicitly it will take first object or the object through which this operator function was called as value of this value. Okay, and b dot value is the value which is assigned to this object b, and after that by adding v that is value of second object to the value of first object, it returning the resultant value, that is return value. So this is the operation which is used to overload binary operator plus. Though here we are passing only one object, internally it will take two objects. Of course, explicitly we are sending one object, and implicitly the compiler will take another object, and it adds these two objects value, that is the data members, and it is returning the resultant variable, that is value in this case. Only this is important, and after that simply display member function. So out of the class void add scope resolution display and see out the sum is. We are displaying here whatever returned by this particular operator function. So that will be displayed here. So in main we need to call all these. So void main add object 1, we are creating one object and we are passing one value. Okay, and add, so here this also, so as we are using parameterized constructor, so here it will not take like this, so a comma and int a, and that should be assigned to this variable. Okay, so that is the modification, because here we are using parameterized constructor, not a default constructor. So we are calling a parameterized constructor, we are passing the value, so we need to modify these two statements. And in main object 1 and pass the value, and create another object and pass the value. Okay, and after that we are creating one more object, that is object 3, or even you can use either of these two, object 1 or object 2, but when we are using this object 1 and object 2, the values of this object 1 and object 2 will be replaced with this resultant. So in order to avoid that particular problem, here we are even declaring one more object, that is object 3, to store the result of the operator function. The result of operator function. So obj3, object 3 equals to object 1 plus object 2. Here this particular statement invokes the operator function. Invokes the operator function. Okay. So here what we do, simply object 1 plus object 2. That means it is internally considered that as obj1 dot operator plus obj2. obj1 dot operator plus obj2. This will be considered like that. obj1 dot operator plus obj2. This is also like this. Okay, this is also equivalent to this. obj3 equals to object1 dot operator plus object2. That is, here we are passing one operand and using another object, that is using object1 we are invoking the operator function by passing object2 as argument. Okay, this is previous one statement is considered like this. So here what we do, so here it will get this value means object1 value and b dot value means object2 value. It takes object1 value and object2 value and it performs the addition and it stores that resultant into object1 value. Object1 value. So here in this case, and here we are simply storing that return value into obj, that is object3. Object3. This is optional part, that is not optional. This is the second method. Even we can perform like that. So I am putting that into the optional bracket, that is square brackets. So normally object1 plus object2. And after that simply we are calling object1 dot display and object2 dot display. Even we need to call object3 dot display. Okay, so now we will see how we can execute this program, and we will check binary operator overloading is successful or not in our case, that is whether this program is successfully run or overload the binary plus operator. We will check that. So, as usual, hash include iostream.h hash include romeo.h and define the class. We are trying to add two objects, so add and one data member, that is int v. Okay, and in public declare one constructor, that is the parameters constructor, int x, and assign that to v equal to x. That's it. Equal to x, and one that is the operator function. So, and return type of that operator function is use a different function, that is add operator plus and pass the object b. Okay, we will define this out of the class. Then void display. Also we will declare this out of the class. Okay, now declare that is define operator function out of the class. So return type of this operator function is add. In the class it belongs is add and scope resolution operator, and operator function name is operator operator plus plus and add with arguments. Okay, now what you do, simply v equals to v plus b dot v, v dot v, and return that resultant value, return v, return v. Close of this, void add, define the member function display, void add display, simply display that value. Okay, see out the sum is, or the value is, value is the value is what it has to print, value v, and then okay. So here we declared all the member functions, class declarations, definition is completed, and constructor, operator function, and member function definition is over. Now write the int main clear screen. Now create objects for add class by passing values. Add object 1 100 and add object 2 200 and call the operator function, that is binary operator overloading. So add object 3 and object 3 equals to object 1 plus object 2, object 2, and then see out the value of v of object 1 is v. Sorry, simply call that function, that is simply displays, right, is object 1 dot display. Now like that call for both the objects. Paste. Here the value of v of object 2 is auto dot and 3 is 3. Okay, and simply get ch and integer it is returning or void int. So yeah, return 0. Return 0. That's it. And save the file program. Save binary plus. Binary plus. Okay, let's check for the errors. We may get some errors like could not find match for add. Okay, this is it. Add class, add index, add operator plus add p, add operator and display like this. Compile outline 28. Okay, so it is trying to invoke the um, default constructor. So simply include one default constructor in our program, nothing will be happen. Okay. Save the file, compile the program, now just run the program. See the value of object 1 is 300, object 2 is 200, object 3 is 300. That is here. If you observe, simply cut here and immediately here paste it, because here what it is doing, when we are calling this we are adding object 1 and object 2. Here that object 1 and object 2, by adding object 1 value and object 2 value, it is storing into the object 1 value only, object 1 value. That's why here we are getting, and that is we are overriding that particular value. Okay, otherwise, wait, even by using declaring one more object here, paste here, and simply these two statements, right? Put them into comment lines in order to get the original values of object 1. Here declare one more variable, add vi and store into vi and return that vi. So let me check. Alt F, save, compile, run. See here, you are getting the same values, that is 100, 200 and 300. Okay, that is here that value of object 1 is not overriding. Previously here also we used v. That means only the the first object's value, we are adding the first object value and second object value and storing into the first object value only. That's why in that case, when we are printing this particular object 1 dot display and object 3 dot display, as this object 1 is overwritten with the result value, here object 1 and object 3 are the same, they are equal. Okay, because here we are that is in this case the return value, that is which is stored in object 1, is assigned to object 3. That means object 1 and object 3 are having the same values. That's why we are getting, in previous execution we have got that particular thing. Okay, but here when we modify like this, we are getting the original values of object 1, object 2, and by adding object 1 and object 2, we are getting the correct value, that is 100 plus 200 equals to 300. Okay, so like that we can overload binary operator plus in this case. See, the value of v of object 1 is 100, object 2 is 200, and addition of object 1 and object 2 is object 3 is 300. Okay, so this is overloading operator plus, binary operator plus. Now we are trying to overload relational operator. Relational operator, that is less than or equals to operator. Okay, so for that here we are declaring one class that is integer with one data member that is x, and one member function get data which is used to assign value for the data member x, and one function display simply displays the data member x. And here this is the operator function which is operating this relational operator that is less than or equals to, and always this operator function requires the object as its argument. Okay, so here we are passing one argument that is object of the class, same class to which it belongs or operator function belongs, that is integer. Okay, and after that here we are trying to compare the data member x of object 1 and object 2, x of object 2 and object 1. Implicitly it will consider this x is the value of first object or the value of the object through which this operator function was called. Operator function was called. Okay, so here it is trying to compare the x values of object 1 and object 2, and if x value of object 1 is less than x value of object 2, then return 1, else return 0. Okay, if x is less than that is first object value is less than second object value, then it returns true, else returns false. And here in main, simply we are creating two objects for the class integer I1 and I2, and we are assigning values for x using this object I1 and I2. That's why we are calling get data using I1 and I2. And after getting value, that is value for the x data member of I1 object and I2 object, here I am performing relational operator on I1 and I2. That is, here we are performing this less than or equals to on two objects, not integers or floats. Two objects. Okay. So if I1 is less than or equals to I2, if it returns true, that means I1 value is lesser. See out the object I1 has lesser value and display that particular value. Else see out the object I2 has lesser value and I2 dot display. I2 dot display. So here what we are doing, simply we are declared one class integer with one data member that is x, and one member function which assigns value for this x, and one another member function which displays that value of x, and one operator function which accepts object as its argument. And here this operator function compares the values of object 1 and object 2, and based on that comparison, that is using relational operator that is less than or equals to, based on that comparison it returns either 1 or 0. And here in main we are creating two objects, and using for those two objects we are assigning value for the data member and we are performing or we are comparing the objects I1 and I2, not the integers or floats. Are comparing the objects, and based on the result here we are displaying the appropriate statement. Okay, this is the program. Now we will new, otherwise okay, we will try to save as, modify the previous one only. So here the name of the class is program is binary relational operator, right? Dot cpp. Now we modify this class integer. I am modifying the existing class, that is in order to save the time, that's it. Okay, and here we will not, of course, if even our program is consisting any default constructor, nothing will be happen. Anyhow, the compiler will creates its own. But when we are declared one parameters constructor, we need to specify even the default constructor with empty body. That thing we need to remember when we are using that is constructors in our program. If our program is having one default parameters constructor, then immediately we need to declare default constructor with empty body. If our program is not having any parameters constructor, then we need not to declare that particular default constructor. The compiler itself at the time of execution, it will include that default constructor in our program. But if we are including parameters constructor in our program, we should include even the default constructor. That thing we need to remember always. Enter the number and read into appropriate variable, that is in this case x. Okay, this is one member function, and after that our display. So here operator plus, that is here less than or equals to. Okay, and it is returning an integer. Okay, and here the name of this is event. This integer some y, x and y, like that. Okay, int operator less than or equals to 1 and its body. We need to change all these things. Integer again, integer, sorry, the return type is int only. Int, the class name is integer, and operator, and here even the operator we need to change. Integer y, and the operator is overloading operator is less than or equal to 0, less than or equals to. Okay, and so here delete all these things. If x, that is the value of x value of first object, less than or equals to object is y dot x, return 1, true. That means true. X is less than, that is first object value is less than second object's value. Else return 0. Return 0. That's it. Display. The class name is integer, and display that particular variable, in this case that is x, and that's it. And the main, so here we need to modify everything, so I am deleting except gets h and return, and write our code. Okay, and create objects for the class integer i1 comma i2, and call the member function get data using this i1 dot get data, and i2 dot get data, Okay, and if I1 is less than or equals to I2, see out object 1, object I1 has lesser value. Okay, and display that value also. So in order to display that value, we need to call the member function display using this object display. Okay, else object 2 has lesser value. Else cout the object I2 has lesser value. And call that display using this I2 dot display. That's it. Get ch and return 0. Okay, now save the file, compile it. Get data is not member of integer. Get data. Yes, alt run the program, enter the number 5, enter second time for the second object. It is asking us to enter 2. The object I2 has lesser value, that is 2. Okay, 5 to 5 is the first object and 2 is the second object's value. And even check for the one more time with another values. Okay, now 15 and 7. The object I2 has lesser value. So here we need to modify things. In display, we have given like wrongly object I1 has less. Okay, 15 and 7. So I2 has lesser value, that is 7. Okay, so I want to give different values, but again I am giving. Now I want to make this as lesser value. I1, the object I1 has lesser value, that is 1. Okay, so here we overloaded relational operator that is less than or equals to. That is here how we change the meaning of this less than or equals to operator in order to compare two objects. Instead of comparing two integers or two floats, here it is used to compare two objects. Like that we change the meaning of the less than or equals to. We provided another meaning, not change the original value of less than or equals to relational operator. We simply provided another meaning. For this less than or equals to. Normally less than or equals to is used to compare two integers, two floors. But here we provided another meaning for already existing operator. Okay. So in order to compare two objects, like that we changed its meaning. We provided another meaning, not changed. We provided another meaning. Okay. Likewise, even we can overload assignment operator, that is equals to. And here, if you consider this program, here also what we are going to do means, here we are going to assign the values of object 2 to object 1, or the values of object 1 to object 2. Normally equal to symbol is used to assign a constant to a variable or a variable to another variable of same data type, or internal or implicit typecasting can be possible in that case. Even it accepts different data types when we are assigning values to a variable. Okay, but here how we are changing or how we are providing another meaning for this equal symbol, simply trying to assign the values of one object to another object. Here we are using operator function, which is used to operate, that is overload the operator equals to symbol, so that it assigns the values of one object to another object. So for that, here we are declaring one class, that is point, with two data members x and y, and one constructor which accepts two integers and assigns values for these variables x and y, and the operator function which is used to overload equal symbol. So operator keyword and equal to, and we need to pass one object as its argument of type point, that is same class point, and var show, which simply displays this x and y values. So here this is constructor which is used to initialize values for x and y, and this is show, simply prints x and y in point format. Normally the point is represented with open parenthesis x comma y and close parenthesis. Normally the point is represented in that particular format. So here using this show member function, we are going to display in the same format. If you want to display normally, you can display. Okay, so this is optional. Simply display the value of x and y, cout x, cout y, that's it, enough. And here this is the operator function definition. So void is its return type, and point is the class name to which it belongs, and operator equal to is the operator function, and we are passing one object. Okay, and here what it do, it simply assigns this object's values to x and y. This object's values to x and y. That's why x equals to d dot x and y equals to d dot y. And in main what we are doing, we are in order to assign the values of one object to another object, we require at least two objects. So point pt1 with some values 5 comma 5, and pt2 with some other values 6 comma 6. And initially we are displaying the values of object 1 and object 2, that is in this case pt1 and pt2. And after that, here we are calling the operator function by passing object 1, that is pt1 as argument. So here what will be what happen, this d will be pt1, that is first object, and this x and y are the second object values. Okay, that's why the first object values, that is the first object x and y values, will be assigned to second object x and y values. So if you observe the output here, initially object 1 values are 5 comma 5 and object 2 values are 6 comma 6. But after assigning object 1, that is here object 1 to object 2, now object 2 values are here. These are overwritten with this object 1 values. Okay, that's why here we are printing p2 dot show only one. Even check by including another statement pt1 dot show. Okay, in this case, when it is printing this after this operator function calling, if you are printing, if you are calling pt1 dot show and pt2 dot show, then for both statements you will get 5 comma 5 only. Previously, before calling this operator function, you will get 5 comma 5, 6 comma 6. But after you will get 5 comma 5 and 5 comma 5 only. Though here if you include pt1 dot show, okay, for both you will get same value, that is 5 comma 5. Right, try to execute this also. That is here we are overloading binary operator, that is equal operator. So in this class we discussed what is meant by binary operator, and we have seen 3 example programs. That is, first one is overloading binary plus, and one relational operator, that is less than or equals to, and one equal, that is assignment operator, that is equal. Okay, thank you.